Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you Game 3 in a matchup between Roz and RiseN, the Game 3 taking place on Steps of War. Roz spawned on the south side of Steps of War as the red Protoss player, meanwhile RiseN spawning as the green Protoss player on the north side. My hat's off to them for changing their colors. Green and blue was kind of hard to watch in the last portion of the game, so I am glad that they have decided to choose a little bit more unique colors in this matchup. So Roz spawning down here. Now taking a look at the production tab, both sides should be placing down that 9 pylon in just a moment, and then this game will be underway. So out moves this probe. Probe will throw down this pylon, both sides getting a pylon within a matter of seconds of each other. And now you can see both players were really cautious about cheese once again, trying to make sure that there is no cheese in their base. You can also see that RiseN also checked out this location over here, making sure that there is no cheese. So very nicely done so far as this pylon has been completed. Both sides, Roz now chrono boosting and getting that Nexus out. Meanwhile, RiseN going for a 10 gateway. So RiseN now going in for a 10 gateway instead of the standard 12. He will fall behind a little bit economically, as he will be behind in probes. You can already see the difference between 12 harvesters and 10 harvesters, and now because both sides also have that chrono boost, that will really be the only difference, as this probe now is going to walk into this location here, quickly coming across this gateway. He's going to start zapping this in a moment. Meanwhile, as this probe comes around, I do not think he's going to notice that that gateway is a little bit earlier than normal. It's only so slightly different that I believe that Roz will not notice it. You can see a gateway of 52, 53 units of time versus 38. So if Roz is not able to scout this out, he does not know that that RiseN will have a little bit of a tech advantage. Meanwhile, Roz, however, responding by throwing down a second gateway and not getting an assimilator, also throwing down another pylon. So Roz building 2 pylons to power these 2 gateways here, and now should be training zealots out in just a moment, as we have Roz also getting an assimilator here. So this assimilator in this position, more of a sign to show that RiseN that he is not going to go for mass zealots. We do see 1 zealot now being trained out of this location here, as a cybernetics core getting placed down. Cybernetics core only taking cybernetics core here only taking 50 units of time to build. Cybernetics core is faster to warp in than a gateway here, so continue to do a great job. Once again, a probe now deciding to pull back there, unable to really do anything in this engagement, and now trying to damage this pylon. 1 zealot, however, will be able to engage that probe. That probe down to 3 hit points, however, and that probe will be able to run around these gateways as the probe does move significantly faster than that zealot. I believe it's about 20 to 30% faster. As this probe now moves out, a quick zap there, so RiseN taking a couple points of damage, and those shields are no longer going to recharge, as Roz now goes for that cybernetics core. In the base, Roz still able to scout out a lot of information, sees that there is a the warp gate research currently being researched by that cybernetics core, and 2 additional zealots now being trained. So RiseN trying to rally on top of that probe. However, that probe now deciding to pull back, and these zealots are just trying to intercept this probe. So really nice probe micro by RiseN, enabling him to get as much scouting information as he could possibly want. He sees that there is only 2 gateways, knows that there's no void rays to worry about with the Stargate, and knows that there's no observers or immortals to worry about because there is no there is no robotics facility, and this probe is just constantly juking out these zealots, and those zealots are unable to chase him down. Meanwhile, back over here, we now see Roz with 1 probe on the low ground, unable to see anything onto the high ground. The zealot, however, unable to see him either, just beyond sight range. So this 1 probe with 20 shields and 3 hit points will return home. We now see RiseN going into a 2 gate with a robotics facility. Most likely will be trying to train immortals, enabling him to deal with the stalkers of Roz. Roz, however, now training up some additional only 1 stalker and 1 zealot. So Roz would probably be in a better situation if he had only trained zealots and sentries. If he had tried to do a 4-gate push with zealots and sentries, that may be strong, as those immortals would essentially just be wasted, only dealing 20 damage per attack for a 4-food unit. As this probe continues to wander around aimlessly, we'll be able to head up this ramp, but quickly should get shot down and taken apart and torn apart by the side blades of this zealot. So is this probe going to try to move up, or is he just going to try to place a proxy pylon and warp in a building here, enabling the ability to warp in onto that high ground? So zealots now making their way in. A probe already down to 4 hit points, and down it goes. So poor probe getting taken apart there and getting shot down by that particle disruptor from that stalker. We do see some more zealots now being warped in, and now an observer being built in over here at the robotics facility. So wait, no, this robotics facility. So RiseN now moving out with one observer out of the robotics facility will be able to see what exactly Roz has. However, Roz is now moving out with just a 4-gate push. So he is only doing a 4-gate push and nothing else. And the timing on this has to be absolutely perfect. Roz, if he's able to capitalize on this attack, should be able to take the game. The army here is much smaller, and I do not see a sentry. However, I take my words back. As a sentry now being warped in, as that sentry is warped in, if he's able to split apart this army, that would be a very significant amount of damage to be dealt. So Zealots now trying to engage. Zealots running up that ramp, trying to pull back, making sure that all these Zealots are relatively close together. He does see that sentry, and now able to take down one of those Zealots. So very nicely done, using the ramp to his advantage, even though he's fighting uphill and does not have sight. So very, very nicely done so far. Waiting for the sentry to try to drop a force field. There we go. There's one force field as that Zealot now taking some damage, and now because that force field is down, and the force field was placed down by, I believe, Roz, we now see an observer in this position here, and now in come that Stalkers. We do see a pylon now being warped in on that low ground as these units now try to walk up this ramp, and in comes RiseN, now RiseN with also one force field, so that is nicely placed as well. Stalkers now trying to just get some free shots in onto that high ground. However, that force field will be coming down in just a moment. That pylon now taking some damage, and now units running up the ramp and now warping in 4 units. So Zealot's now going to be warping in as well. In comes an Immortal, but however, RiseN losing a lot of units in this fight, and beautifully placed force fields stopping any retreat for RiseN, and also this pylon getting in the way. So nicely done, and Roz taking game 3 in a do or die situation here on Steps of War. Brilliantly played. So Roz, instead of going for the early robotics facility as RiseN had done, he decided to go for a simple 4-gate push instead and try to bank on that with a very, very nice, well-timed force fields here, and also making sure to group up his units in this location. He was able to walk up that ramp and not have his units split. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for game 4 in this best of 5 series between Roz and RiseN.